Duncan Murray swoops around the outside. Joshua Germany putting up an almighty defence. Garrett Kaler taking his second win. Stephen King for Pulse eSports makes it 3 for 3 at Orange Park. Andy Fox wins. Henry Morse makes it the double and takes another win here at Watkins Glen. Blake comes around the final corner and across the line. Jameson Hudson has done it. Championship rival Morgan Burkhardt wins again. And there we have it. Two-time Jetta Cup champion Jake Cranston. Hello guys and girls, and welcome back for round 3 of the Volkswagen Jetta Cup powered by GT Omega. If you're going to get some GT Omega products, and don't forget to use our discount code especially for the channel, TRL or TRL5 if TRL doesn't work because another code thief steals it. But that's not going to happen again. Just use TRL or TRL5 to get yourself some discount. But you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about the Volkswagen Jetta Cup because we're finally back. I mean, I say finally. It's only been a week. We've been here for 3 weeks straight. It's the last race in our triple header of our opening Euro stint. Next week is break week before we head to the quadruple header of America. We've got some people in chat already. I can see Biggie Morella on Twitch hiding behind the corner. I can see Foxy Andy saying sorry he can't be here tonight. He's only here for the fun lap 1 hairpin fun. Let's go win it or bin it. Biggie Morello says let's go. Well, you can see the track on your screens. We're here at Circuit Park Zandvoort, the national layout. Not the full layout. We deemed that too big, so we decided to use the most ridiculous hairpin that I've ever driven on this sim. That's right. We know what the hairpins mean in these cars. Are we going to see the usual Jetta carnage? Or are all 32 drivers that are here tonight actually going to survive one of the tightest corners on the calendar this season? I've just made that up, by the way. That could be true. That could be false. I'm pretty certain it's one of the tightest corners on the calendar. In fact, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to go with my gut and say that that is true. It is practice right now. There is 10 minutes left of practice, which gives us enough time to go through the rundown. Looking at the schedule that I just mentioned, though, the last round of the Euro stint, you can see the schedule on the right-hand side there, currently in Zandvoort on the 3rd of October, which is today. We've been to Donington Park, we've been to Brands Hatch, and you can see your winners there in the date column. In round 1, Burkhardt took the first win of the season, followed by Bailiff taking his first genuine win ever in Volkswagen Jetta Cup history. He's 3 seasons deep and he's finally done it. We head to round 2 at Brands Hatch. Arthur Thurto on his debut season 3 takes a win in the sprint race, and Bailiff goes for the double, taking 2 wins. Who is going to come out on top today at Zandvoort? The times are looking fairly close. The top 30 are separated by a second. Alejandro Carade currently 1.2 seconds back. Imagine being half a second off of the fastest time and sitting there in 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th place, all in that 500th mark. Am I allowed to start the betting with greater than 8 people dead on lap 1? Any advance on that? That's Foxy Andy in Twitch chat saying 8 Jettas. He reckons going off on lap 1. I don't know what to expect, to be honest. I expect racing, that's for sure, but how much racing, I am not sure. We've got to start with our flight map. This is the journey we took from round 2. We used a little bit of a Ryanair looking flight to fly across that little ocean from the UK to Zandvoort. This track being on the beach. I always forget that. It's right on the coast. Can't quite see it on here, but on the helicopter shots in F1, you can very much see that it is out on the beach. The weather looks fine today. No fog, none of that. Jake Cranston on your screens currently in the Orange Masters, a talk car. 2-time Jetta Cup champion Jake Cranston. Can't mess up that name anymore. There he goes in the number 1 orange car. He's currently fastest by 0.04 of a second from Ade Koba Lopez, debutant in the Team 12 car. My favourite looking car, I think, this season. I'm going to stick by that, even though Pulsus is looking fairly nice as well. There's a couple of nice liveries out there. I'll tell you what, the livery game has really stepped up this season. All of the cars really standing out. There's no templates on this car. For those of you that play iRacing or use iRacing, because it's not a game. There's a big crash on the straight back there. You'll know that some cars come with templates for you to edit the paint system. The Jetta, because of how old it is, no templates. It's just a plain car. So all of these designs are done pretty much from scratch. I think it is a good time. Let's have a rundown of what is happening this season, shall we? What have we missed? What has been going on? We'll start with the Teams Championship. This is what it looks like after 2 rounds. 4 races, 2 rounds, and this is where we're at. Project Dynamic extend their small lead at the top from 4 points to 12 points with 415, whilst Pulsus eSports jump up into P2, not far behind. 25 points behind in P3 is Street Casuals, who were 7th before going into round 2. But with all 3 drivers scoring top 10 finishes in both races at Brands Hatch, they now look like a force to be reckoned with. Watch out for those guys. Street Casuals team, they are one to watch. Masters of Talk, last season's champions, are just 4 points back, though, in P4, dropping from P2, whilst Win It or Bin It drop from P4 to P5 with 356 points. Goldwing go from 8th to 6th, jumping both Team 12 and Zero Forks Given, who sit in P7 and P8 respectively. P9 sits Frog Leap Juiced Racing with 199 points. Lurchers jump to P10, 1 point ahead of ORD, who dropped to 11th, whilst Meatball Motorsport round off the field with 103 points. That is your team's championship right there. But everyone loves the Drivers' Championship. This is where the fights are. There's so many battles going on across this 36-driver field. David Corpus, I don't know what to say about David Corpus in 36th place right now. He has had pace in both practices of the previous 2 rounds. But at the moment in the races, he's having no luck whatsoever. But I think his luck will turn around at some point. It has to. Is it his driving? Is it the people around him? It's yet to be decided, but David Corpus definitely out of position there with 18 points in 36th place. Jan Weiswanger remains in 35th, just 6 points ahead. Rod Askew drops from 34th to 34th, from 26th after missing round 2. Doesn't look like he is here today either. Sebastian Hallmichael jumps up 3 places to 33rd, but he is also having to miss today's round along with Rod Askew by the looks of it. That's 2 out of the 4 drivers. Brandon Hughes can't make it tonight, and Andy Fox, of course, in chat as well, can't make it tonight. Those are the 4 drivers missing. A Win It or Bin It car, a ZFG car, a Team 12 car, and a Meatball Motorsport car. Where was I? 1 point separates... 1 point separated Ray and Patrick last week. Now they're even in 31st and 32nd place. They've both got the same amount of points. Dan Thornton in 30th place with 39 points, 5 points behind Yeezus. Hughes is in 28th. Carradine and Ridley in 27th and 26th. Andre drops from 18th to 25th last time out. Otley in 24th, LeQuay 23rd, and Murray in 22nd. Fox moves up to 21st and Burns in 20th for the Win It or Bin It pair. Agard 19th. And Blake in 18th as we enter the top half. Let's have a look at this then. This is what it looks like in your top of the championship. So Blake 18th. Timu Toika, one of the biggest gainers from Brands Hatch, going from 31st to 17th place. Just 2 points behind team rival Alexander van der Velde. Project Dynamic and Pulsus eSports obviously leading the team's championship. So those two, the bottom drivers in those top 2 teams at the moment. Henriksen stays 15th, Wallace 14th, and the Goldwing pair of Downing and Van Olst are even on points in 13th and 12th, with the Street Casuals pair joint 1 point ahead with 112 points each. You can see there, look, 111 points for both Goldwing drivers, 112 points for both Street Casuals drivers. And then you've got Manintveld in P11. So where was I? Manintveld P11 and Henry Morse, who goes from 30th last time out to P10. In Brands Hatch, he jumped 20 places in the standings. So you've got to say, if he can put rounds together like that, he's got to be one to watch, because at the moment, jumping from 30th to P10 in 1 round with 8 rounds to go, Well, you've got to assume that man's got one hand on the trophy. But then, has he really? Because he's currently in 10th place. There's 9 drivers ahead of him. It all depends on his luck and his skill. Huffman in P9 is 1 point ahead of Morse. Germany drops from P5 to P8 with 124 points. But he claimed it was damage limitation round due to his pace around Brands Hatch. He was not happy with that. Arthur Thurtle moves up to P7 despite a nightmare underfueling scenario in the feature race last time out, but he did win the sprint race. I would suggest watching this guy for a potential title challenger mid-season as he claimed his first win on his second round debut season. Austin continues his fine but under the radar performances in P6. 1 point behind Ade Koba in P5. Jumping up to the top 4, we see some familiar names from the first 2 seasons. Morgan Burkhardt remains in P4, despite being one of 3 drivers to claim a win this season. Season 1 rivals Stephen King and Jake Cranston swap places, with King in 3rd, 2 points behind Cranston, who has 187 points. Season 1 saw Jake Cranston and Stephen King fighting for the title. Season 2 saw Morgan Burkhardt and Jake Cranston fighting for the title. Season 3, after 2 rounds, sees John Bailiff finally show the pace that people know him to have. He continues to lead after claiming another feature win, extending his lead, and get this, he extended his lead from 2 points to 3 points, which is crazy tight, and that is the difference. Don't forget, the difference between a first and a second in the championship now is 5 points. It's 60 points for a win, 55 points for second, and 50 points for third. So John holding on there by 3 points. Are we going to see a 4-way fight for this title, or maybe even more? I genuinely have got no idea, because it only takes 1 bad round for all of that to be mixed up. Valdez31 says, here for a new win it or bin it moment from Alejandro Caraday in Zandvoort. Valdez31 is referencing there the RLTC, where Alejandro Caraday led the whole 3rd race, all of it, just to crash on this corner, turn 3, on the last lap. It was a crying shame, as it would have been their only win. We're going to stay on board with Stephen King here and have a look at this hairpin. This is the hairpin that I was worried about. Pretty much comes to a stop. Now imagine being the 32nd driver in the train when everybody approaches that corner at the same time. There's 1 minute left until qualifying. Avavoom says, it's Monday, baby. Time for some Jettas, baby. And you know I got to root for my ZFG boys. Yes, you have. I can see some viewers across all 4 channels. I forgot to mention, actually, I normally do this at the start. Why haven't I done it yet? You can be watching us on the Racing Line YouTube or Twitch, or you can be watching us on the VCO eSports YouTube and Twitch with our partners over there taking some lovely photos you need to check out on the racingline.org website of these rounds, and the VCO eSports website. And we thank them for being with us, of course, all this time. And thank you for watching, whether you're with them. Oh, look at Stephen King practicing a pit entry. It's tight through there. The chicane gets really squirrely. Well, that was nice to be on board for that, actually. It's looking dangerous out there. This is Eric Manenveld going into that hairpin inside the car. Look at the steering lock. Full lock right. And the 45th minute mark ticks over. So we're about to enter qualifying. Feel like I've covered everything. Anyone else mention anything I forgot? Foxy Andy says there is a website. There is a website, question mark. There is a website. Stop that. Stop this joke. Am I going to miss? I don't want to miss the pit lane exit. No, I prefer the other one. Let's have a look at this. Look at them all. Look at them all filter out. I love it. Derek Crover says, hi Jack, here cheering Mr. Thurtle again. Good to see you, Deck Crover. And I'm glad you're here to cheer Arthur Thurtle. He's got 1 win to his name already. Look at the Project Dynamic cars slow out of the pits. And the juiced cars as well. And the Masters of Torque car there. And then 2 ORDs coming out last. And Ade Koba once again looking fairly clear, actually, at the front of the field. Dan Blake. That might be a power play from Dan Blake. Look at the gap he's got. He is the last man out the pits by himself. But your first man is Ade Koba Lopez. And where is he? Oh, he's somewhere out there. There he is. Entering turn 7 and 8. Someone gave me the challenge of using the actual turn names today, but I'm not going to remember them. All of them end in bocked. I know that much. Tarzan box was definitely turn 1. And that was the limit of my knowledge. I know 4, 5, and 6 didn't have a name. So that counts, right? But Adekova Lopez, here he is, all by himself. And he is about to set. You think his tyres are warm. He has got a massive gap to the rest of the field. I'm not sure who that. I think that's Alejandro Caraday leading the rest of the train. But down through the gears, down to 4th gear into turn 1. So doesn't quite use 3rd around that tight right-hander, the hairpin of turn 1. Straight up into 5th as he goes cross here to the left. Looks like they've got a break for this right-hander in 5th gear. Back on the throttle. Comes to the middle of the circuit. And then this part should be, in the modern version, is banked. I wish this track would be updated, actually, by iRacing, because the banked corners would be insane. Now look as it comes over the hill, back down the hill, over to the right-hand side, and then over to the left. And you enter the braking zone. Into this turn 5 is the braking zone. As you throw it into turn 6, hold it tight to that right-hand side curb, and then up through the gears. So you use 3rd gear for that hairpin. You never use 2nd in this car. It just never works. Stick it to the left-hand side now, and I love this corner. You got a 90-degree right-hander. You want to cut that curve on the inside a little bit, and then a banked long left-hander, a 180 degrees of turn 8, and then you're back on another short straight down towards the final 2 right turns, turn 9 and 10. Fast right-hander, not really an overtaking zone. If you're going to fight side by side through here, you're going to lose seconds at a time, and then flat out all the way through this long right-hander, but your steering inputs matter. You can hear, the more steering input you put, the more speed you're going to scrub on those tyres. If your tyres are screeching, you're probably putting too much steering in. If you can do it silently, I'd imagine you're going through there the fastest you can. Across the line goes Covert, and he does go set a time. He didn't 1-exit. It's a 1:22.9 to begin with, but where is everyone else? The other times are going to come in shortly. As we see some, there we go. Dan Downing goes straight to the top of the timing screens in the Goldwing car. He's got a nice gap to everybody ahead. So is he, Dan Downing, going to get his first pole position? Timu Toika, who didn't look very fast in practice, has just shot up to P3. What train is he in? He's following Stephen Burns in Win It or Bin It. You got John Bailiff. That's 0.08 of a second separating the top 4. Joshua Germany 1/10 off of pole position. He'll be screwing at that. 1/10 away. Imagine being P5, 1/10 down on the top. Oh, well, there you go. It's all changed because Morgan Burkhardt's finally set his time. The Project Dynamic boys towing each other around. We're almost halfway through qualifying already. They are quick qualifying sessions. Have Project Dynamic pulled their blinder? Arthur Thurtle is towing Morgan Burkhardt round in the number 2 car. On the side of Morgan Burkhardt's car, it says Cranston for 3, question mark. Is Cranston going to take his 3rd season title? Well, that's the question on everyone's lips. He is still in P2, despite not seeing him win anything yet. And he's currently in P12 next to his teammate Donnie Henriksen. He's got Stephen King right behind in P14 as well. Timu Toika, Bailiff, Germany, Van der Velde and Thurtle. So Project Dynamic looking strong. All of them in the top 8. Andre Majorek has a good time there. 3/10 off in P9. Dan Blake as well, who showed up late in practice, is up there in P10. You can see some cars moving out the way there. Morgan Burkhardt, though, top of the times by 1/10 of a second. Dan Downing did set a second lap time. He did go quicker. Timu Toika goes straight up to P2. The new Finnish driver on his debut. He's going to start on the front row. Jake Cranston goes 3rd fastest. Look at the times. The top 5 separated by 1/10. Some cars are going to full stop on that hairpin. That is true, Valdez 31, especially if you're down the back end. Ika Lequay, for example, 32nd place. He's going to need to stop ridiculously early. Ray Oliver for Juiced Racing goes up into P8, gets beaten by Andre Majorek there, who slots up into P7. The gaps are insane. In fact, how do I show? No, that's the interval on track. Let's just have a look at the times. The best lap time. So it's 1:22.7s are what they're doing in quali. That is ridiculously close. There's 3 minutes left, so we'll see a couple more laps. Christoph Plays says, "Hey, hello, I am on time." You are on time. We've got 2 minutes left of quali. And then, well, the races will begin. We've got 2 races for your entertainment tonight. For those of you that are new here to the Volkswagen Jetta Cup, I'll quickly give you a rundown of the format. So we had our 10 minutes practice where we run down the qualifying order. Not the qualifying order, sorry. The championship order, where John Bailiff currently leads by 3 points from Jake Cranston, Stephen King, and Morgan Burkhardt are your top 4. We then have 8 minutes of qualifying, which you are currently seeing, with Morgan Burkhardt currently fastest. 200ths behind that is Teemu Toika. 300ths behind that is Jake Cranston. 5,000ths behind that is Erik Manenveld. And 400ths behind that is Dan Downing. The top 5 separated by a 1/10 of a second. Crazy stuff. We then have 2 races. A sprint race, where they go from start to finish, standing start to finish in qualifying order. For points for everyone. 60 points for a win, 55 points for second, 50 points for third. There's no pit stops in that. They will go to the end. If you crash, it's unlucky. Don't crash. Try and brake early. In the feature race, we then have a short break before the feature race. The feature race is approximately twice as long. So the sprint race is roughly 15 minutes, and then the feature race is roughly 25 minutes. It's all done on lap count, and in the feature race, they are all limited to 1 gallon of fuel, so there is a pit stop for fuel. It really mixes things up, and if that wasn't enough, we reverse the result of the sprint race. Just the top 12. So if you finish 12th in the sprint, you're going to be starting the feature on pole position. It's kept it spicy. It's kept it close. We have a new point system for this round. It used to be in Season 1 and 2 that the sprint race was only worth half the points of the feature. Which actually, I worked out the standings based on the old point system the other day. So we can talk about that during the break later. Remind me, anyone that's still with us during the 10-minute break, I'll let you know how it stands with the old point system. Ika Lequay closes it down to all 32 cars within a second now. That is insane, but I don't think we're going to see many people improve. I think we have our qualifying order, and there's some interesting names there that are, well, I don't know if they're out of position or they've just had a really good qualifying. I don't know if it's all to do with toe or they've put their laps together, but this is your qualifying grid. Morgan Burkhardt takes a pole position for the season. Teemu Toika gets his first front row start, I believe, in P2. Jake Cranston and Erik Manenveld on row 2. Dan Downing, Joshua Germany, row 3. Patrick Dupart is way up there in P7. Ade Cobra in P8. Alexander Van der Velde, P9. Andre Marek, P10. Huffman and Ray Oliver for Frog Leap Juice Racing round off your 6th row there in P11 and 12. John Bailiff and Austin Farr, Stephen Burns, Dan Blake, Carl Ridley and Stephen King, Arthur Thurtle and Henry Morse down there in P20. That is insane that 3/10 or 4/10 back from pole, you're in 20th place. Donnie Henriksen, Martin Wallace, Duncan Murray, and Jerry Agard round off your top 24. Jesus Amundere, Dan Thornton, Van Olst, Corpus, Otley, Caraday, Weisfanger, and Lequay round off the rest of your grid. Now, let's see what we're going to do for the start of this race. I think this is looking like a decent camera angle for the start. Morgan Burkhardt lines up. Still waiting for Teemu Toika to take to the grid. Let's focus on Mr. Cranston. So the lights will come on any second now. We're waiting for a couple of cars to grid up. I don't mind them taking their time on this bit, to be honest, because it gives me time to read out the grid. We only get 1 minute to read the grid out after the break. So I very much appreciate people waiting. There's still someone mid-pack there. Still hasn't appeared. That's one of the minute cars. I think it might be Bailiff. But gridding is over. The lights are on. Here we go then. The laps will come up in the top of the middle of the screen. It's 5 lights on, and away they go. So now the lights are out, and we've got a bit of wheel spin there for Morgan Burkhardt, and Teemu Toika seems to have had quite a decent start there as they head down towards turn 1. And now look at this. Look at the 32 Jettas going down towards the tight right-hander of turn 1. Morgan Burkhardt leads. Toika round the outside. Jake Cranston on the inside. And, well, are we going to see any sort of contact, any sort of run off onto the grass? Everyone survives turn 1, but it gets even more dangerous as you get through to turn 2 and turn 3. Look at them all. Stephen King there trying to move up positions. Dan Downing and Manenveld are side by side through the banked corner of turn 3. You got 3 wide back there. That's Stephen King, Dan Blake, and I can't even see who else. I think it's Henry Morse and Arthur Thurtle there as well. Now here we go, the dreaded hairpin. There's contact with Dan Blake. Andre Marek gets it stopped. Dan Blake straight down the inside, hits Ray Oliver. There's a juice car. Stephen Burns has gone off. That was the worrying corner that we all saw. Alejandro Caraday's had a crash. Let's have a look and have a quick replay at some of that. So, I've got Austin Farr coming up as a crash somewhere. Everyone needing to brake super early. Stephen Burns straight into the back of Austin Farr. Carl Ridley right round the outside. Dan Blake braking late as well. People not checking that briefing. And then away they go. So actually it wasn't the end of the world. Shocking from 30, says Jason Nevins. I would say so. That braking was very much late. And it was mentioned in the briefing many times. Spang21 says, I support Fat Timu 46. Foxy Andy says, better than expected for lap 1. I kind of agree. But at the same time, it doesn't make it okay. But look at this fight for the lead. Timu Toika is on the inside of Morgan Burkhardt. They're already side by side. Jake Cranston is going to be trying to gain positions through there as well, as they all come now down side by side through turn 2. I think Jake is going to move up into P2. So look at this. Toika trying to make a move on P1. Jake Cranston might run him out. Now Dan Downing, ever the opportunist, is going to slot up into P3, I believe. Timu Toika is still there, but he's on the inside for the hairpin. Now the outside for the hairpin is the most disgusting racing line I've ever seen, as Timu Toika has a quick look up the inside as that corner tends to open up a little bit. There's some more contact back there. Is it in the braking zone? I don't think it is. We've got everyone just slamming it. Oh, look at Stephen Burns again late on the brakes. Number 82 has really got to watch that. Jerry Agard is down there in P28 at the moment. Ika Lequay is nice and, well, he's surviving at the moment. Greg Otley is making moves. I think he's side by side with Jesus Amundere. Round the outside of turn 8. He's going to have the inside for turn 8. Sorry, he was outside of turn 7. And watch Stephen Burns now try and get the run on Jesus Amundere. He's going to have to try and do it around the outside. And I think we've had another incident somewhere. It's coming up with Andre Mayarek and John Bailiff, but at the same time, I can still see them in P11 and 12. So let's have a quick replay and see what happened. There's John Bailiff, Andre Mayarek behind. This will be into the hairpin as well then. That will be the crunch that we heard, I reckon. Andre Mayarek. Oh, it was Jameson Huffman, actually, who drove into the back of Alexander van der Velde. They'll all be collecting 4 X's for these. And there is a limit on X's, and once they get a penalty from iRacing, it can't be undone. So they are very aware of that, but at the same time, all 32 cars are still very much together. That is a, well, who was that? That was a Masters of Torque car. Oh, Stephen Burns, big crash into turn 3. Round he goes, holds his brakes. Jerry Agard gets collected. That was unfortunate for Jerry. Jesus Amundere collected as well. Let's have a quick replay and see where that incident started. Stephen Burns then into turn 2. The Scottish driver been very late on the brakes in turn 6. Does he get hit from behind though by David Corpus? He brakes into the hairpin. I think he does. He does get touched by David Corpus there into turn 3. So it wasn't Stephen Burns' fault by the looks of it. And then another Lurch's car involved. That's unfortunate. Team on team effectively. Corpus using Stephen Burns to take out Jesus Amundere. Maybe fighting for that too. Look at that. Jerry Agard nowhere to go. Bailiff going for reverse pole and feature win number 3. Potentially, but I think that's just where his pace is in these sprint races, to be honest, Mr. Fox. But look at that. Jerry Agard with a blown engine. That is a crying shame for Jerry. He's going to have an interesting... Oh, Arthur Thurtle's got a slowdown there, I believe. Look at that. But we need to go to the top because these two are now going at it. Jake Cranston around the outside of turn 2. Morgan Burkhardt is under pressure here. He's going to try and hold it around the outside of 3. And he does. Look at that. Holds Cranston tight to the apex. Cranston's going to be in trouble now because they're going to head down towards turn 6 into the hairpin. I think he's actually lifted out of it. He's slotted in because he knows the outside line would put him in danger of being passed as Dan Downing gets punted a little bit by the Street Casuals car of Manintveld and has actually helped him gain a position on Timu Toika. But if Timu can break later down into turn 7, he should be able to hold it around the outside and have the inside for 8. Look at that. Breaks later, turns in towards the apex. Dan Downing mounts the curb, possibly a slowdown because I've not seen people cut that much of that curb before. We'll see what happens, but Toika stays in P3 and Morgan Burkhardt keeps the lead. Well, this is, fighting all over the place, and I don't know who to watch. Henry Morse is currently fighting Donnie Henriksen. That's the Masters of Torque car that we were seeing earlier race through the field in the mid-pack. The Danish driver Henriksen making moves. We're on lap 4 of 9 already. But this is your top 2 down the main straight. The straight is so long that you can see the slipstream really have an effect. Look at them all. The spaghetti of Jettas is back. It really is. The only 2 people out of this race really are Stephen Burns and Jerry Agard. Everybody else is still in this train, and I expect to see that in the feature as well. Hopefully people have learned how to take that chicane. At the moment, Jake Cranston can't find his way past Morgan Burkhardt. This is what it looks like from atop Jake Cranston's car. This is in front of him, and this is behind him. He's got Teemu Toika still sat there. Dan Downing will be trying to claim a podium from Teemu. In fact, let's stay with this camera and see if it happens into turn 6. Don't think it's going to. Do they all bunch up? Ooh. That is a great shot of everyone actually surviving through there. I can't see. I think Jameson Huffman went off track on the exit, but there was no contact. But where is Morgan Burkhardt now? So they're all, look at this, they're all fairly safe. I need to stop saying that. Stephen King keeps reminding me that I say that a lot. But they are safe. Look at them all making it through. Jerry Agard is actually catching Stephen Burns, so I wonder if Stephen's got damage. Jerry must have picked, he had a blown engine. But here we go, on to, as we approach lap 6 of 9. 3 laps to go after this. Thank you all for joining us, whether you're watching here on the Racing Line YouTube or Twitch, or VCO eSports YouTube or Twitch. Thank you everyone who's currently watching. I can see all 4 chats, so don't be shy to get involved and tell us who you're rooting for. I've only seen one Fat Teemu vote today, and well, he's in P3 currently, so this is the day to be watching him. Stephen King and Dan Blake are side by side into turn 1. This is King round the outside of Blake. They're still side by side as they exit the corner. And Stephen King is now going to have the outside of 2. This is going to be risky because he's going to have to turn in at some point. Blake is going to try and run him out to the left. But Stephen King keeps his nose there. He has the inside for 3. Are they going to make contact? He has to get his foot down as much as he can. Dan Blake, has he got the run and kept his nose there? I think Stephen King might still be on the outside. He is. It's the outside of the hairpin. This is going to be a dangerous place for him. Is it going to come out? Down to turn 5. Look at the line. He's going to have to take. Blake misses his apex a little bit. Stephen King does his best to hold it around the outside. And the juiced car of Carl Ridley is now going to try and take advantage. But he's on the inside for turn 7, which is effectively the outside of turn 8. It's really nip and tuck through the turn 7 and 8 combination there. You can see as they all come sliding through, all taking that slivery snake racing line. There's a big gap actually. I think Dan Blake holding up the field a little bit here. Stephen King, these two battling. Obviously King wanting to try and take that place. John Bailiff currently in P11 as Andy Fox mentioned, so he'll be starting on the front row of the feature race if it ends like this. It's very close across the field. I'll tell you what, Henry Morse won't be happy with his current performance. He's currently down in P20 still. This is just how close it is, and I think Dan Blake and Stephen King are going at it again into turn 1. This time not as close as last time. Dan Blake shuts the door on the exit of 1 to stop that fight from happening. Lequay and Weiswanger side by side into turn 1. This is for 29th place. Weiswanger not letting that go. I saw Weiswanger practice this in practice. Gives him plenty of room on the inside and keeps that position. That is, oh, Ika Lequay though. Look at that. Late on the brakes for Ika Lequay. Holds it around the outside. Can he get the run now to have the inside of the hairpin? Great racing for this pair in 29th and 30th place. Jan Weiswanger is going to have to be careful to not drive into the back of him though. Into this hairpin. Ooh, just like that. Well, you get as Duncan Murray would say, you get a ball hair in between their bumpers there. But we'll move on from that saying very quickly. Speaking of Duncan Murray, there he is in 28th place. He's currently down 5 places from where he started. Who is the biggest gainer in this race? It's hard to say because it's so tough to pass here. It's this man though. Zero Forks Giving Racing, Gregory Otley. He's up 7 places currently in P22. He's had the best start of anyone as we go on to lap 8 of 9. Your current top 2, top 3, top 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, top 6 all look like this. This is what your battle for the lead looks like. This is an interesting one. I'm not sure if this is similar to Brands or not. They're all trying to keep it safe, but they're also all racing for high positions. Any mistake from any one of these drivers could cost actually a fair amount of points. But this is exactly what Jake Cranston needs. He's currently getting 55 points for P2, and John Bailiff is down there in P11. I can't even remember what the points will be for 11th place, to be honest. But they're down there somewhere, and the Cranston will be gaining a lot. And I believe after this race, he'll be taking the championship lead. And it looks like, oh, I thought he was going to make a move then, but he's not close enough. As King and Blake are still going at it. And I think King might have the move done here. It's on the hairpin. He was on the inside of the hairpin, and now he's on the inside. Oh, they're going to touch down. Blake turns in. He's going to have the inside on 8. But Stephen King round the outside is trying to get the best run. They're going to be side by side into the final rights. This is the corner that I said if you fight side by side, you're going to lose plenty of time to anyone else. But look at that. Stephen King finally gets the move done. And this is what it looks like on the top of Dan Blake's car. Oh, he's round. That'll be Carl Ridley, who was on his inside. There's more contact. And Dan Blake is in the wall after yet another strong race. Big crash behind. That is Arthur Thurtle, I think. And one of the Lurchers cars. That'll have to be looked at for slowing down for yellows, I imagine. If the Lurchers car did not brake. Oh, Dan Blake. Can he get a brake? Can Dan Blake get a brake? Let's have a quick replay. It was Corpus, I think. I said it was LeQuay. Oh no, so what happened to Corpus here? Because he wasn't involved in that crash, I don't think. Here we go, this is what it looks like. So Kyle Ridley was on the inside. And Dan Blake just cuts across his nose. It was on Dan, actually. Gets tagged, and then look at that, Arthur Thurtle, nowhere to go. Big crash. I actually think it might be on Arthur there for holding the brakes. Oh, almost dangerous rejoin from Dan Blake. We need to go back live because we're on the final lap of this race. What does it look like at the front? This is what it looks like. I thought they were going slowly then. I thought I missed the finish, but I have not missed the finish. We've got David Corpus in the pits. Arthur Thurtle in the pits in 32nd. He will learn. Arthur Thurtle, don't forget this is debut season for Arthur, but this is the final lap. They've all come across the line. I think the top 4 is going to stay as it is. Here it is. Morgan Burkhardt takes the win. 1/10 behind was Jake Cranston. Timu Toika in 3rd. Dan Downing takes P4. Eric Maninfeld, the silent assassin there, in P5 for Street Casuals. Ade Koba finishes in P6. Joshua Germany, P7, down 1 place. Dupart Alexander Vandervelde, P9. That's a good result for him in the Project Dynamic car. Huffman and Bailiff and Andre Marek will be starting the feature race on pole. Austin Farr 1 place away from that pole position. King getting that position from Dan Blake there in P14. Oh, it's a shame. It's a real shame for Dan Blake. What a mess. Just one small contact there where Ridley was on the inside. From what we saw, from the camera angles that we saw, it did look like Ridley was there. And I think Dan just shut that door a little bit. I don't know if he knew he was there or not, or maybe whether he thought his car wasn't far enough alongside. And we go into break time. I'm going to take a quick drink, I think. And I'm also going to put that music back on. Don't forget, Jack, to turn it off during race 2. Whilst I have this drink, I'll show you the results for that race. Christev Plays is very quickly learning how it works. He's jumped in YouTube chat and says, poor Jerry Agard and Dan Blake. That is also fair. They got caught up in that at the end. It was a great first race of the day. Good luck to all drivers for the second one. And remember, the second one, they get a little bit antsy. They get a little bit less patient, so that hairpin might be a little bit more dangerous this time. Although I'm surprised at the survival there. I really enjoyed. Oh, excuse me. Really enjoyed that. And he said at the end of his comment, also, don't forget to vote for driver of the day. And that is yeah, you're right. Because for the last 2 races, I've forgotten. So if that race was 9 laps, I'm assuming this next one is going to be around 18 laps. So around lap 16, I'm going to put the vote out. I'm going to remember that. Lap 16, voting for the driver of the day. Andre Marek says, go ORD. That is 2 top 12 finishes there. And that will definitely put him back ahead of Lurchers Gaming in the standings. So let's have a look at this result. Morgan Burkhardt takes the win. By 1/10 of a second, he led pretty much the whole race. He done very well. Jake Cranston and Timu Toika 2nd and 3rd round off your podium. Dan Downing, Eric Maninfeld, Koba, Germany to Part, Vandervelde, Huffman, Bailiff, Mayerek, Farr, King, Ridley, Wallace, Morse in P17 in the end, and Sam Van Olst in P18. Just 14 seconds back from the leader. The next page, the rest of the grid looks like this. Greg Otley, your biggest gainer in the race in P19. 20th for Donny Henriksen. Ray Oliver, 21st. Caraday, Thornton, Amundare, Lequay, Murray, Weisbanger, Agard, Burns, Blake, Thurtle, and Corpus. Once again, we mentioned Corpus's luck. He's down there in 32nd place. Arthur Thurtle, an absolute nightmare there, getting collected at the end. Dan Blake, unfortunate for him, it's the second time we've seen him quite high up and then get involved in an incident that knocks him down to the back. Stephen Burns was involved in an earlier crash. Jerry Agard had an engine blown during that race and ended up in 28th place. So that not bad from Jerry Agard, to be honest. Jan Weisfanger there, 27th. Duncan Murray, 26th, getting some decent points there as well. You said about seeing Biggie Morello's jumped in chat and said, can we see the old points versus the new? Now, being able to see them would have been a great idea. I wonder if I could sort that out quickly, actually. I think I actually just screenshot it, which means I probably won't be able to put it on stream, but I could definitely talk you through it. If I put the current standings up, this is what it looks like. This doesn't include the race we've just had. So this was after round 2. Now, if I can just find where I put that picture. There it is. Right. So on the old points, John Bailiff would still be leading. He would have 119 points instead. But he would also have a 15-point gap to Stephen King, who would be in 2nd place. And Cranston would be in 3rd with 104 points and 100 points. So King and Cranston would be the other way around on the old point system. Not by much, still 4-point gap between them, but they'd swap around. You've actually then got Burkhard, Kober, Farr and Thurtle in the same place. They would still be there. But then we've got another swap. Huffman and Germany would be the other way around, separated by 4 points. Now, this is where some changes are made. Eric Manenveld would not be there in 10th place. Sam Van Olst on the old point system would be there in 10th place. He'd be up 3 places. Sorry, not Eric Manenveld. Henry Morse would be... Henry Morse should be there in P10 based on positions, but he wouldn't be there. Sam Van Olst would be in P10 based on points. He would have 50 points. Eric Manenveld would be 11th with 49. Henry Morse would be on 47. Dan Downing would drop a place as well with 46 points. Martin Wallace would be in the same place. Timu Toika would be up 2 places. Van der Velde would be the same place. Henriksen would drop 2 places. Agard, Burns would have gained a place. Blake would have dropped 2 places. Fox and Murray would keep their position. Ridley would be up 2 places. Lequay would drop a place. Majorek would be the same. So there's a few changes. The biggest changes are actually down the back end because there wasn't points for the whole grid. So if I just quickly show what it looks like at the bottom end. That's not the right scrolly thing. There we go. So you can see everyone's got points back there. But on the old point system, 31st to 36th would have 0 points. Because in the races, the top 20 were the only ones that scored. So anyone that didn't finish 20th or above wouldn't get any points. And at the moment, every driver apart from Rod Askew, Dan Thornton, Ray Oliver, Jan Weisfanger, Patrick Dupart and David Corpus have finished in the top 20 at some point. However, I believe Patrick Dupart just got a top 10. So that would definitely change after today's race. Sorry I couldn't show that image, but it is what it is. Let's get back to it. What am I going to see? Liz Creates says, well done team ORD, you got this emoji. Let's get rid of those standings, we don't need to see them anymore. We have got a couple minutes left and a few people out on track getting some laps in. A tough track to pass. Quite surprised at that, to be honest. Well, no, actually, do you know what? I'm not surprised. I knew it was going to be tough to pass, but I'm surprised at the amount of patience and technically brain power. The technical brain power of some of these drivers. Normally, they're sending it everywhere, but I feel like watching back that race, what we've just seen in that sprint race, I haven't seen the whole grid be that patient, knowing full well that if they say side by side, they will lose heaps of time. The only two really we saw fighting for a prolonged amount of time in that race was Dan Blake and Stephen King. And that was the lead of the second train because the other train weren't fighting and they were about 4 seconds ahead. In fact, let's have a quick recheck of the results and have a look at the gap between Stephen King and Austin Farr. Austin Farr was on the back of the lead train effectively in P13. And then look at that. 6 seconds from the leader was Austin Farr, 11 seconds. So nearly 6 whole seconds lost trying to fight that one position for Stephen King there. That shows how much you can lose in a side-by-side. Why is that important for this feature race? Well, anyone that's been paying attention, who knows the format of this season, or all the seasons, the Jetta Cup, will know pit stop is key. There is a pit stop in this feature race. It's so important. So important. Not just in terms of not speeding in the pits, because otherwise you get a 40-second stop-go or something like that. Not in terms of missing your pit box and reversing back into your pit box. We see that quite often. Not in terms of putting the right amount of fuel in and not changing your tyres. But in terms of when you choose to pit stop, it has to be after lap 5, by the way. That's one of the rules. You can't pit before lap 5 unless you've got a meatball and you're involved in a big crash. But everyone can pit after lap 5. That's when the pit window opens. And we've seen some people pit directly on lap 5 last time out, and they came out in the lead because they got themselves in clear air, and away they went. They set some quali laps, and they did the job. John Bailiff has been a regular at that so far, both at Donington feature and Brands feature. The more people that see them doing that, though, the more people will pit on lap 5, and it will ruin that strategy, and some people will actually do the overcut instead and go long. I'll read those chats in a second, but I'm going to have to go through the grid because I only get a minute to do so. Here is your grid for race 2. Andre Mayerek starts on pole. John Bailiff in second place. Jameson Huffman and Alexander van der Velde the second row. Dupart, Germany. Kober, Manningveld, Downing, Toyka, Cranston and Burkhardt rounding off your top 12 there. The next row looks like this. Farr and King in 13th and 14th. Ridley, Wallace, Morse, Van Olst, Otley, Henriksen, Oliver, Carraday, Thornton, and Mundere, your top 24. Ekelakwe, Duncan Murray, Weiswanger, Agard, Burns, Blake, Thurtle, and Corpus. Keep an eye on Arthur Thurtle. He's currently way out of position in 31st place. What can he do to get, well, you know, what can he do? What can he do to get up that grid? But look at this, an ORD pole position. It's Andre Mayerek. We've got 20 seconds until the lights come on. Wow, loved the penultimate lap, says Eric Stein. Very disappointing for some drivers, but entertaining for us viewers. Tell Arthur to pump a bit more red diesel in this time round. Arthur for the win. From 31st place, Mark Brown. Unlikely, but it'll be epic if it did happen. Quali is so important right now, says Andy Fox. And yet, so tight, it's really difficult to predict now. You're spot on. It's really difficult to predict. And here we go. The lights are on. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Andre Mayerek on pole position. And away they go. There was no wheel spin for the top 2, but John Bailiff looks like he's got a decent start on Andre. Has he got the run down to turn 1? I think he might. John Bailiff is on the inside already as they head down towards turn 1. But can Andre break late around the outside? We've got a car starting in the pits. That's Dan Blake. Missed the start of this race. He's going to start in the pit lane to avoid the carnage, I guess. Joshua Germany is trying to gain a position up round the outside. I think he's up into P5 from Patrick Dupart. We've got Kober there as well on the inside of turn 2 as they all head down towards turn 3. It's so hard to see who is doing what here as they're all 2x2 and some of the single file people trying not to lose out. We've got some people changing order here. Did I just see Arthur Thurtle up loads of positions already? I think he's up a few. He's up there in P29, so he has gained. Timu Toyka is going side by side with Jake Cranston into the hairpin. Look at that. I didn't hear one bumper crunch. Oh, there was one. It always happens from 25th backwards. But the top 25, no bumper crunching into turn 6. Very interesting. Timu Toyka is going to be one to watch in this race because he is no slouch when it comes to overtaking. But look at that. Ascend into turn 7. Opens up the inside for Morgan Burkhardt for turn 8. And now they're side by side as they head down towards the final corner. Your top train is now going to break away the more these guys fight. Morgan Burkhardt breaks out of it and slots back into the slipstream. That's smart driving there from Morgan Burkhardt. He's currently going to look like this. This is on top of Morgan Burkhardt's car. Derek Crowther says, damn, Arthur, you way down after that incident. Yes, he was right down in the finishing place, and he starts in the same place. We've got some more passing. Some people are off track. I think Duncan Murray went off on the final corner. Carraday's crashed. Corpus has crashed. and it's all happening at the back. But these two, Morgan not making a move. Let's have a look and see if we can find out what happened here. So that's Caraday off on the grass. He spun. Oh, that's a dangerous place. Duncan. Oh, look at that. That's going to be a picture. If I knew. Oh, and Arthur Thurtle's involved again. Oh, this is why if you're out of position, it ruins. It really can ruin your whole round. But if he can reverse and get into the pit lane, it might pay dividends later on in the race. I need to see that one more time because that car flew. I think we all want to see that one more time. Let's have a look at that shot of Alejandro Caraday. Duncan Murray coming flying round. I wonder if he's got the brakes on or if he's just kept his feet in. Look at that. And then Arthur, nowhere to go. I think he gets collected by this next car. Look, yeah, there he goes. Blocks track. Straight back into the tyre wall. Dan Blake, who started in the pit lane, I think he's going to make it through. Big rolls there for the Jettas at the back. Let's go back live, see what's going on. Because somehow, John Bailiff is leading this race. So when it all kicks off at the back, we obviously miss a few things. Koba and Joshua Germany racing side by side through turn 1. This is for P5. Duncan Murray, I think, has had another incident. Wonder if he had damage from that earlier crash. Can we find where John Bailiff passed for the lead? Oh, wait, hang on. I think I just forgot because John Bailiff was leading into turn 1, wasn't he? He got the move done before they started. That was just my memory going, what happened to Duncan Murray? Why is it coming up that he's crashed twice? He's in the pits there, so it's weird to see that he's crashed. Foxy Andy says John led into turn 1. Yeah, reminded myself. Oh, no, there's some more crashes. Where is it? Is it the hairpin? It's a big one. I can see a number of cars involved. We've got Henry Morse, Greg Otley, Donny Henriksen, Sam Van Olst, Dan Thornton. Ooh, that was a weird one. Wasn't as bad as it looked on my timing screen, to be honest. But Henry Morse will definitely have damage after that. Incredible airtime for Alejandro, says Christoph Plays. Very much so. Hope Arthur's still alive after that one. Looked like a bad one. Arthur did have a bad crash. It's going to be interesting now to see where Arthur comes out. I'm guessing he's stopped. He has stopped because he would have had to with that damage. But now he can put in pure quali laps and try and close the rest of the field. But he was sat for quite a while as we see Greg Otley come in a lap early. That'll be from the damage from his crash. And we've got Timu Toyka and Cranston still going at it. I think Jake Cranston's just lost the position to Morgan Burkhardt. He has. Oh, they're all just swapping places left, right and centre. Koba and Joshua Germany are still fighting and somehow still holding on to the top 4. I said if you fight, you're going to lose a load of time. These two completely ignoring that and just absolutely continuing their way. David Corpus still in 32nd. No luck for David Corpus this time around. Zandvoort, not his track. Oh, that's a nice shot of the hairpin. You can see them all coming down that straight. You can see them all coming round the corner. Look at that. We've still got a solid train. We might see a lapped car today, though. I think Alejandro Caraday. In fact, I don't know where David Corpus is. He might be in this train. So I can't see him on the track map. I can see Arthur Thurtle. I can see Greg Otley. I can see Henry Morse. And I can see Alejandro Caraday. But I cannot see Duncan Murray and David Corpus, who are a lap down. Ah, there is Duncan Murray. Currently behind Dan Thornton and Ika Lequay. So that is 21st and 20th place. Duncan's in a tough spot. He can't really race these guys. He's a lap down. He's probably going to be quicker than some of them. Christoph Play says, no, Henry Morse, the Giga Chad grind is hard for street casuals. They're trying. They will try. And this is not going to be, just because he's in 28th now, does not mean his season will be over. Where is David Corpus? He's currently behind Weiswanger and Blake, who are fighting for 25th and 26th. Van der Velde and Andre are, oh, that was a good shot, side by side as they head down into turn 6. This is Joshua Germany's car. He goes up the inside of Andre Majorek. Opportunistic. That's what happens when you take the outside line of the hairpin. But now, as they head down towards 7 and 8, who's going to come out on top of this? Because they're still side by side. Majorek's going to try and hold it around the outside and have the inside of 8. Nip and tuck, as we said. It always is through this corner. But look at Joshua Germany. Holds it round the outside of 8. Gets the run down towards turn 9. And now look, that's Koba on the inside of turn 9. Andre Marek shuffled out of position. He's going to lose another one. He started on pole in this race. He's currently down to P6. And now he's got his teammate, Patrick Dupart, the Polish driver, the only Polish driver on the grid, there in P7. Right behind him, Dan Downing is coming into the pits. Let's have a look at this pit entry. Gets it stopped nice and slowly. Look at that for a shot as he comes into the pits. Stephen King has also decided to come in on lap 6. These two wanting no more of this fight. That is Donnie Henriksen as well. And Dan Thornton, who's on for a good result here, is Dan. If he can keep it clean for the rest of the race, I believe he's quite high up after seeing the earlier fight-in. Dan Downing is out. Stephen King is out. Those pit stop times, I can tell you what the pit stop times looked like. Well, they're at the bottom. 9.8 second stop for Stephen King. 9 second stop for Dan Downing. 10.2 for Donnie Henriksen. You can see the black numbers at the bottom of the screen. Dan Thornton, 9.7. So we're looking at around 9 to 10 seconds stationary. In total, you're looking at around 30 seconds in the pit stop. 31 seconds. 31 and 32 seconds with those pit stop times. Dan Blake had a 22-second stop. I don't know if that was enough in terms of fuel. So I wonder if we'll see Dan Blake stop again, to be honest. Jameson Huffman is up into P2 as a result of Andre Marek getting shuffled down the order. We're on lap 6 of 18, a third of the way through this feature race, and the top guys still separated by pretty much nothing. There you can see the people that had to pit on lap 1. Blake, Thurtle, Caraday. Lap 3, Otley and Morse. And then a load of other drivers pitting on lap 6, I believe. You can only see the top 30 on that pit strategy. Look how close this top guys are. Huffman getting very close to the back of John Bailiff's car. Let's have a look at an onboard. We haven't had a look at an onboard in a while. So down towards the hairpin, you can see Slipstream working its way here. Jake Cranston just had a stop. 10 seconds for Jake Cranston. It really opens up the entry to the corner, does Jameson. And look at that. Look how much steering lock he got on. Now if he can get on the throttle, he might be side by side with John. But John just about gets a better exit and slots back in front. So Jameson is looking racy here. And, well, not for the first time. I believe he got a podium in round 1 at Donington. He was up there for one of the races. I think it was a feature race as well. But John Bailiff is currently leading. I've just realised. Why am I not thinking about this? John Bailiff is leading another feature race. For potentially his third feature race win of the season. Jake Cranston has pit. He's 3 points behind. Go Martin Ghost has tied 3-2-3. Martin Wallace is currently in P12. So it's a good race for him. Is John Bailiff coming into the pits? I think he might be. He is, and a number of drivers are following him. It's Koba, it's Majorek and Maninveld all coming into the pits there behind as well. And I think Ridley for Frog Leap Juiced Racing. So a number of drivers coming in on lap 8. John is having no more of Jameson Huffman towing him, being towed around. Alexander van der Velde is fighting Jameson. That's going to help John, who's just stopped. If these guys now go side by side, they're going to lose time to John Bailiff, and he might come out quite far ahead and, well, take another... Oh, thanks, Biggie Morello. I knew it. I knew I'd do it again. Is he going to win? Is John Bailiff going to win this again? Joshua Germany and Alexander van der Velde. These three need to not fight. If I was one of these three, I would hope that I would have followed John in the pits, to be honest. Because, depending on if he comes out fighting anyone, is John Bailiff fighting anyone right now? It doesn't look like it. Dan Downing might be able to put some pressure on, but he doesn't look close enough to make any moves. If they want to stop John Bailiff from winning these feature races, people are going to need to fight him. But I think at the moment, the people that are fighting this guy the most, he's won 2 previous seasons. You got Jake Cranston and Stephen King, actually. Your season 1 rivals right there, together on track in 18th and 19th place. They have stopped, of course. So don't worry, they will be up the order at some point. This is what your pit strategies look like. And we've got Huffman and van der Velde in the pits. And Joshua Germany is staying out by himself. So Joshua Germany in the lead of this race right now. He's going to stay out and extend his stint. They're on lap 9. I think this might be the final lap he wants to do. Because, well, the sprint race was 9 laps long. So you're not going to want to stop for much longer. A-Guard comes into the pits, but let's have a look at where these guys are going to come out. There is John Bailiff coming down the main straight. Look at the speed of them. That's Cobra, Bailiff, and Dan Downing. Bailiff around the outside of Jameson. They've come out side by side. Cobra was in the pit, so he's actually jumped everyone in the pit stop. But Jameson Huffman and John Bailiff currently side by side for P2 in this race. Net P2. Huffman understeers a little bit on turn 2. Nearly runs John Bailiff off the track. Slots into P3. Dan Downing round the outside of turn 3. Can he get the run? He's got his throttle down as Dan Downing, the number 17 Goldwing car, is on the inside for the hairpin. He's firmly on the inside for the hairpin as John tries leaning on the Goldwing car. Do you know who's going to take advantage of this? Alexander van der Velde. Watch this space. Huffman turns it in. Dan Downing tries to get the throttle down. He can't actually take the most of that move into the hairpin. That is weird to see. John Bailiff, of course, well, it's not weird to see because John Bailiff has expert car control in this car. He needs to hold it around the outside of turn 7. It's going to give him the inside of turn 8. Dan Downing's going to try and get the run round the outside of 8. I don't think he can, or can he? His nose is still very much there. This is what it looks like from the rear. Well, we can't see. Where is Daniel Downing? He's on the inside for the corner. There they go, side by side through the right-hander. Let's get a closer look of these two because they're now going to be side by side on the main straight. But at the moment, Ade Kober, Jameson Huffman, Dan Downing and Bailiff all fighting it out. Joshua Germany is still not pit. Is he extending his stint even further? I thought he would have had to pit the next lap, but boy, was I wrong. Dan Downing still on the inside, getting pushed by Alexander van der Velde. He's on the inside. Timu Toika has just come out the pits, I believe. I think that was a Pulsar's car coming out the pits. It's not Joshua Germany because he is still in the lead. It is Toika. There he is. Number 46, slots ahead of Jake Cranston. Dan Downing on the outside now of Alexander van der Velde, so couldn't get the move stuck on John Bailiff. This is currently your lead. I think this is a fight for the podium right now that we're watching. Your leader, I believe, is currently Ade Kober Lopez. Is he going to claim his first win of the season for Team 12? A new team on the grid this season. A lazily named team. But in the end, it's actually growing on most of us, to be honest, Team 12. I think not just because of the livery, but the name, as cheeky as it is, well, there it is, Team 12, the 12th team on the grid. Kakala says, Germany making sure I'll take a picture of him in the lead. Of course he is. He's extending his stint massively, but he's got to have to come in now. Sure. Oh, my God. I'm so wrong with his pit strategy. What is going on? How many laps can these guys do? That's Burkhardt and Germany going again. Martin Wallace is in the pits. Let's see where he comes out right now. So, Germany, Burkhardt, and Farr, I believe, for Street Casuals, casually extending his stint, using no fuel at all in that clean diesel Jetta. Martin Wallace goes down the order. They're catching up to Weiswanger, who's currently showing in 6th place. That's one way to get yourself up there, Jan. Just don't pit. Look at you. You're up there in 6th place. Dan Blake is up there in 5th place, but we think Dan is going to have to stop again. I'm not sure Weiswanger has pit, to be honest. That would be insane if he has, and he's leading. No, I don't think he has. He's up 21 places. Dan Blake has pit, and he's up 25 places. I don't know how that's happened, but I'm pretty certain he... well, Dan Blake is going to have to pit again, I'm sure. His stop was 22 seconds. That's 8 seconds quicker than everybody else. Morse and Otley fighting it out down here. What was Kober's pit time? Is it going to be tight on fuel? That is a very good call, Mr. Fox. 30.9 is Ade Kober's pit stop time. No one else has done below a 31-second pit stop, other than Kyle Ridley and Dan Blake. Here they are, though. These are the pit stoppers you want to see. Was it because he started from the pit lane? Dan Blake started from the pit lane, not Ade Kober. And Dan Blake was involved in an earlier crash. He did pit. Oh, you mean is that why he's showing up as a pit stop? Do you know what? That might be a very good call. There's Joshua Germany, though, leaving the pits. And Ade Kober is coming round the outside. I think Joshua Germany is going to be leading this race. Joshua Germany comes out of the pits in 1st place. He's currently leading here at Zandvoort National. That is Joshua Germany in the number 4 car. Currently under pressure from Ade Kober in P2. He's going to shut the door to the inside of turn 3. Jameson Huffman is going to try and have a look. We're on lap 12 of 18, and the Pulsar eSports car of Joshua Germany could be on for his first Jetta Cup win, but we got 6 laps to go, and anything can happen. But now we are about to see, we know what he can defend like. Ade Koba breaks as late as he dares into the hairpin. Look how close he gets to the back of the number 4 car. Now we've got a race on our hands. Your fight for the lead, everyone has now stopped. Everyone has done their pit stop. So the order you see is the order you see. Keep an eye on that Lurch's car. Corpus needs to move out the way of this lead fight, because at the moment we've got the top 5 separated by, well, nothing. In fact, we can have a look at what your top 5, well, top 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh my God, they're all together. What do we do here? What is going to happen? Corpus basically needs to pull over. Oh, just like that. But he needs to brake. He needs to brake and let them all through. He needs to brake and let them all through. Joshua's through. Koba's through. Huffman's through. Depart's through. Bailiff's through. Austin Farr is through. I think he's going to let them all go. Oh, look at the brakes on Ade Koba into turn 1. Oh, my God. Joshua Germany will be absolutely squealing in that Pulsar's car. I think David Corpus is showing up as a crash, but I think that might be because he's stopped to let all of these guys through. Insane scenes here at Zandvoort National. I genuinely don't know what is going to happen, but we are in for a spectacular finish here after everyone has pit. No one else has crashed after the earlier incident in the race. As per usual, everyone seems to settle down. Jameson Huffman is looking feisty into the hairpin. He's trying to get on the brake. Look at John Bailiff. Sends it down the inside of that's Patrick Dupart in the ORD car. John Bailiff moves up into P4. What a move. I don't even know if that could be deemed illegal or not. It was such a send. Martin Wallace has had an issue somewhere. I wonder if this is just the normal... is he going to spin on the grass? What's going to happen here to Martin Wallace? The number 20 car. Ooh, okay. Yeah. Really opening up the line there into the hairpin. Fair play. Maybe he got a good exit. Who knows? Right, well, back to the top 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They're all together. Timu Toika there in P10, Stephen King P12, Jake Cranston is currently in P11. We said about John Bailiff taking feature race wins. It has not gone his way. Look at Timu Toika there, start to the inside to defend from Jake Cranston, who looked at a move, and he's actually making a move on Eric Manintveld as a result. And now he's on the inside for turn 2. We haven't seen many people pull this off yet, because you just can't run them off on the outside there. Into turn 3 they go. Oh, Manintveld into the side of him. Jake Cranston's going to get stuck. And Stephen King goes around the outside of both of them. He's going to gain 2 positions. Thank you very much, says Stephen. Jake Cranston now is going to pass Eric Manintveld, but he'll be absolutely frustrated with that. I think Bailiff has made another move into P3. Is that the hairpin again? Surely not. It sounded like there was contact behind. I hope that wasn't a crash. It is a crash. It's Eric Manintveld. Just as we went off them. So let's have another look at that. Oh, okay. It wasn't contact. He just broke on the grass. Morgan Burkhardt is showing as a crash. Maybe this was the crunch that we heard into the back of Andre Marek. Was it in the hairpin? Yes. Yes, it was. And I think he lets him go. He does let him go. Wise decision. John Bailiff past Jameson Huffman for P3 into the hairpin. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that he's got away with that twice. And I don't know if that's just the outside car trying to survive or not. But I think Jameson Huffman might be racing John Bailiff right now for... Oh! Is that contact? That's contact with John Bailiff and Ade Koba Lopez, and I think... Oh, Jameson Huffman's going to get run off the road there on the grass. They're free wide here. Patrick Dupart's going to try and take advantage. Koba and Huffman sweep around the outside. Dupart is going to try and take P4 back from John Bailiff, so there was contact up the road. This isn't even live. This is still from the replay, and John Bailiff is going to be around the outside. Let's go back live and see what is going on. This is where it is. We're now back to what is happening in this race. John Bailiff is going to keep P4, and that is Austin Farr for Street Casuals trying to move up into P5 on the inside of Patrick Dupart. Have we seen anyone make this move? He backs out of it, he slots in behind, so he's given up. Let's have a catch up on the comments because, well, they're all slotting into single file right now. So we've got Peter Holmes Music joining in to say hello. Says, what a race. Minnie Simeon says, bit wide. Peter Holmes Music says, very wide. And laughs. Tied 3-2-3. Missed his breaking point. I'll let Martin hear about it later. Minnie Simeon says, fixed setup race too. They are fixed setup races because you cannot change anything on the Volkswagen Jetta in iRacing, apart from fuel, where they all started with 1 gallon. Andy Fox says, let's go, John. You can still win this. Minnie Simeon says, I love these fixed setup races. Skill counts for so much, and audacity counts for the rest. This is nuts, says Avavoom. It's becoming dirty, says Peter Holmes. Good win for Josh now. I think John Bailiff might be driving a Volkswagen Jetta in real life. Well, I'm sure he would love to. We would all love to, but someone mentioned Joshua Germany there. It's a 1.9 second lead for Joshua Germany with 2 laps to go. Can he claim his first victory, or is he going to mess it up? Nearly swore. Don't swear, Jack. Is he going to mess it up like he has done before? Anyone remember Tsukuba round 1 last season? It was going to be a Pulsus 1, 2, 3 in the first round, and 2 of the Pulsus cars spun in the pit lane. Anyone remember round 2 of Season 2 Jetta Cup, where it was going to be a Pulsus 1, 2, 3, and 1 of the cars spun by himself on the grass? All 3 drivers in 2 rounds having their own spins. Joshua Germany, it's not a Pulsus 1, 2, 3, but it is going to be a Pulsus win for a new winner in the Jetta Cup. 2 seconds in the lead. Ade Koba is in P2. He's up 5 places. They're both up 5 places from where they started. Up 7 places is Austin Farr in P6. You've then got up 8 places is Jerry Agard and Stephen Burns. We've really neglected the back end of the field during this sprint race. Not sprint race, feature race, because there's been so much going on at the front. And Stephen King and Teemu Toika are still there in P9 and P10 with Jake Cranston behind. If I know Cranston... Oh, Kakala, thank you for that. Here, have this. Have the vote for the driver of the day, people. You're going to need the link to this. So I will copy and paste that now once we see Jake Cranston get very close to the back of Stephen King. Let's post that. Let's see. Yeah, it goes through all 4 channels. There you go. That link will take you to the list of drivers for your driver of the day. Vote in chat. Click that link. Click the driver you want. You got 1 vote. Make it count. Who is your driver that has done the best today at Zandvoort National? We got 2 laps to go. Is it a bit premature? Your votes right now. I don't know who to vote for, but look at this. Jamison Huffman and Koba side by side into the hairpin. Jamison Huffman really trying, and Cranston as well, trying on Stephen King. He's on the inside, is Jake Cranston. So 2 by 2 they go. I don't think the Huffman-Bailiff battle paid off. It did not, but King and Cranston side by side into turn 7. King round the outside, now on the inside. Needs to get his foot down on that throttle to get the best exit he can, and Jake Cranston is very much still there. Is this fight going to continue through the final 2 corners? Let's have a nice overhead shot, and look at that. Stephen King actually backs out of that move, and I think it's to try and get the run down. This is going to be smart driving from Stephen King. Season 2 champs on the back of Jake Cranston's car there. Stephen King purely focusing on exit as we now go on to the final lap of this race. Zandvoort National. Look at this. He's got the run. I would be squeezing him a little bit closer if I was Stephen, but I am not Stephen. He's going to try and lean on him in the braking zone. Down on the brakes. Alexander van der Velde and Toika are side by side as well as Toika tries to take P8 from the Project Dynamic car. And Stephen King looks to have moved over, but he hasn't. There's still a car there. He's now going to have the inside of turn 2. Are they going to lean on each other through here? Great respectful driving from the Season 1 rivals, and actually first and second in Season 2 as well. We forget to mention that. Morgan Burkhardt had such a bad race at the end of Season 2 that it ended up being Cranston, King and Burkhardt in that order for the Season 2 finishing positions, and they're currently P10, 11 and 12 in this feature race with a tough track to overtake on. Stephen King doesn't make a lunge there. I think this is done in this little fight, to be honest. Joshua Germany is approaching 7 and 8 now, so he's got a couple of corners to go. Ade Koba 1.9 seconds back. No one is making moves in that top train. No one is fighting here, so we can go. I'm choking because there's so much happening. Look at the gap. It's not much. From the back of Joshua Germany's car, this is what it looks like. He's clear. He can see it in his mirrors. He comes around the final corner, which is flat out. He can't get this wrong. Teemu Toika and Alexander van der Velde are side by side into the final corner. Van der Velde's got a problem. He's slowing down. Is he out of fuel? I think Van der Velde's run out of fuel, but Joshua Germany is going to cross the line and take his first win in the Volkswagen Jetta Cup. 3 seasons in. He's been waiting for it for over a year. 1 whole year in real time, and Joshua Germany takes his first win in Volkswagen Jetta Cup history. Ade Koba in his debut season takes a P2. Jamison Huffman with his second podium of the season. John Bailiff loses his feature race win streak here at round 3. Finishes P4 though, a good result nonetheless. Patrick Dupart, give that man for Team ORD a round of applause as well, because he's there in a top 5 finish after never finishing in the top 20 so far this season. That's the type of pace we expected from the Polish driver, and he will be over the moon with that. Austin Farr, once again, the underrated driver under the radar, slots into the top 6 for street casuals. Dan Downing P7, Timu Toika getting P8 in the end. Van der Velde, well, he's not out there at the moment, so I'm guessing it was a fuel issue. Can I see his pit stop time? 32.7. So you would think that he would have had enough fuel. Just to point out pit lap times, Joshua Germany and Ade Koba both had a 30.9 second stop, which we called earlier on. Andy Fox said that might be tight on fuel, and I think you were right. It was probably tight on fuel, but they made it, and I wonder if they're spluttering now. It sounds like Joshua is, and Ade Koba is also. So they have absolutely nailed their fuel strategies today. So props to both of those drivers. Vote your driver of the day now, people. Get that vote if you haven't already. I don't think Joshua Germany's got enough fuel for donuts. Oh, he has. He has. And Stephen King is watching. I think that's Stephen King. Should we have a look? This is what it looks like from Stephen's car. That's a nice little view of his wheels not moving. Or his wheels moving so fast that they don't look like they're moving. Let's call it that. Joshua Germany with his victory donuts. Well, unbelievable scenes. Don't know where Toika is. I don't think he was celebrating with the team. He might have run out of fuel as well. Well. I think you're all looking forward to hearing from Mr. Germany, and he's going to be absolutely buzzing. Let's have a look at the feature race results. We went through most of them there as they crossed the line, but here it is. 2 seconds in the lead. Who would have predicted that with how close it was? Joshua Germany takes his first win ever for the Volkswagen Jetta Cup here, Season 3, Round 3. Ade Koba, P2. Jameson Huffman, P3. John Bailiff, P4. Patrick Dupart, P5. Austin Farr, Downing. Toika, Cranston and Stephen King round off your top 10. 3 Pulsars cars in the top 10. Project Dynamic, possibly in danger here after today's round, actually. So remember, I said actually at the start of this, one bad round can have a massive influence when the championship is this close. Now, but it's not done by any means. We've got 7 rounds after this. 7 whole rounds. So do not think that it is over for Project Dynamic, and do not think that it is over for Arthur Thurtle, who had a relatively quiet race in the end today, but he will come back stronger. He's got a week break to gather his head. I mean, he was just quiet, not involved in the pretty big air, not including that. But speaking about Arthur Thurtle, I mean, he's got a race win under his belt, and I think he needs to think about today's race, which I'm sure he will all week, and just know where he can come back stronger in the American leg. It's tough. It's really tough when there's so many cars. You just can't predict where some of these are going. And sometimes you can't avoid the crashes. It just happens. Andy Fox got his clapping hands out. Avavoom says, great job by Germany. Minnie Simeon says, damn, pity I missed most of this race. Too early in the morning. Oh, that's a shame, but thank you for joining nonetheless. Don't know where you're watching, whether you're watching with VCO eSports or us, but it doesn't matter because we're partnered with VCO eSports and we are us. So wherever you're watching, thank you all for joining us for this race. We've got a couple of driver interviews, so don't go anywhere just yet. Liz Creates celebrates as well. Minnie Simeon says, is that a Tungod backwards? I don't get it. So I'll move on from that. You can explain it and I'll read it in a sec. Andre Marek, attempting to overtake was a mistake. Yes, that is what happens when you attempt to overtake here. You drop down. That's true. Quiet. Congratulations to Joshua Germany and Team Pulsars Esports. I love watching some wild donuts. Amazing second race. Just a great third round. It really was. Oh my god, Josh, we are never going to hear the end of this, says Dan Downing. Arthur will return, says Mr. BF John, and Minnie Simeon says donut. Oh, is that a ton god? It's backwards. Yes, now I get it. It spells do you know what? I read it backwards and it said Doug nut. That's what I read. But yes, that makes sense. So they're front-wheel drive cars, people. So to do donuts in these cars, you have to whack it in reverse, and away you go. It's just a shame that the wheels don't look like they're moving, and the smoke has died down. I wish they never got rid of the smoke as much. Like, do you remember when they put that update in and the smoke was absolutely blinding? I want that to come back because I found that more fun, not knowing that there were cars stopped on track. But I'm sure many people will argue with me with that. So, going back. Oh, are we stuck? No, there we go. It did work. Let's hide those results. Let's play the race in slow motion. And let's have a look at... happy with P4 and P7. 2 races running, says F1 Delta. Yeah, well done, well done. Let's have a look at the driver interview room. Who's waiting in there? I can see a couple of drivers in there already. Oh, I can see 3 drivers, and that is normally the amount that we speak to. Let me just have a quick reminder of the 2 races. Morgan Burkhardt, Cranston and Toyka. Morgan Burkhardt, Cranston and Toyka. Germany, Kober and Huffman. Burkhardt, Cranston, Toyka. Germany, Kober and Huffman. It's got to be Burkhardt and it's got to be Germany. Let's have a look at the results of the driver of the day. Although I'm pretty expectant of what this is going to be. I'll be surprised if it's not what I think it is. Yes, I thought so. So that's fine. And then I can pick a random driver to talk to. And well, I think I know who I want to speak to, but I can't see him in the Discord. He's actually gone. I was gonna pull Jake Cranston in. He got a podium. Did get a podium today. Well, maybe he doesn't want to deal with the media this season, Mr. Cranston. He's got the pressure of a 3rd championship on his shoulders. Doesn't want to talk to the media this season. Not just yet. Maybe mid-season. Got a P2 in that race though, so it's not the end of the world there. Let's bring in Morgan Burkhardt, race 1 winner, Borgie Merkstappen, as he's called in Discord. How are you feeling, Morgan? How was that for Zandvoort National?
Race 1, amazing. Race 2, halfway amazing.
Halfway amazing. So it was fun for both of them, by the sounds of it. But what, do you know what? So bad. My memory's so bad. Where did you finish in race 2 in the end? You were 11th.
Yeah.
So tell us, from your point of view then, let's start with race 2 and then tell us about race 1. What happened in race 2?
Well, it was, I had no idea because I was more up the front of the field, so I didn't really have to judge other people braking in front of me, which is the virtues of being on the pole. So it was kind of a new thing. I didn't really know where anybody was going to brake, so it was just taking it really easy, trying to pick my lines and avoid everybody else. And I managed to make it through the first few laps, and it was kind of just, where do I pass without killing anybody? And then ended up taking advantage of other people's mistakes, and it was overcut from the beginning. It was my plan. I want to get clean air as much as I possibly can, because I'll be quicker without the people than I will be with them. And that seemed to work. I was running with Josh, and then he came into the pits. We both went in at the same time, and honestly, I don't even know. I wouldn't let me uncheck fueling, so I ended up taking 1.5 gallons of fuel, and I had 6 laps extra fuel at the end. So 3 seconds. It was 3 seconds from 12th to 1st, so I ended up losing 12 spots.
Yeah, it was crazy close, I think, in the field, which was, it was entertaining to watch, to be honest. It was just one of those things where the whole train just seemed to be together. And but it was if, as Andre said in chat, you make one move to try and pass someone, and you then you're offline and you get shuffled down the order. I think he started on pole, he got passed by John, and then he got shuffled down the order right back. So I imagine it was very much, let's not forget the people you were racing in that race in the end. It was you, Jake Cranston and Stephen King pretty much in your 3. If you could pick anyone out of the 32 drivers that made it today, I imagine you wouldn't pick those 2 to be in front of you in a midfield fight. if it was from my point of view, but you might think differently. They're not easy guys to pass, are they?
No, they're not. but it's the thing, because they're not easy, but they can be, because I mean it's still early in the season. They're not trying to conserve yet, and they're not trying to be like not as risky.
Yeah.
So you can kind of drive with them and take a little bit of risks. But once they put the foot down, they don't want you to have the position. It's going to be very difficult to get the position.
That's right. And obviously, your race 1 win, was that a bit more straightforward?
Pretty much. Just kind of get out in front, don't let anybody by in the first few laps, maintain, and just defend into turn 1 in every lap, because it's so difficult to pass anywhere else unless you make a mistake. And I got pretty lucky with that.
Of course. Well, as usual, Morgan, congratulations on another win. Is there anyone you want to say hello or thank you to before I let you go?
I'd like to thank my parents for supporting me and making all of this possible, my grandparents as well, and Barbara Wallace as well. The whole Project Dynamic team with Gilles LeBlanc putting this on and giving me the opportunity. Sad for Arthur today. He got a little bit unlucky with incidents. And Alex, wonderful job from him today. I mean, very, very proud of him, and glad to see him up the front of the field.
That's right. It was a reversal of fortunes, wasn't it? Alex ended up in the top end today, but then Arthur just couldn't avoid. He was really unlucky with the crashes. I don't know if you've seen him yet. He just couldn't avoid them. It was no fault of his for the most part. So obviously, good luck. Have a week break, and we head to your home ground for the next 4 weeks after that. It's the American leg, so good luck for that. I think it's Lime Rock next, so we'll see you then.
Alrighty then.
There goes Morgan Burkhardt thanking his parents as usual. Let's bring in Jameson Huffman as our second driver to interview his second podium of the season. Jameson, I think in previous seasons I'm not wrong in saying that sometimes turned up a little bit last minute, sometimes couldn't make it, maybe because of commitments outside of this. Of course, real life commitments always come first. This season, not only are you bringing the pace, not only are you practicing, as is everyone. I'm not calling you out for practicing. It's been a lot of sweaty drivers this season, to be honest.
You think I'm practicing still, man?
You're practicing. You can't be that quick without a little bit of track time. But there you are, with your second podium of the season. You showed up to all the races, and you're in with a good shout. I think if you keep these results up, you could be in a 5-6 way fight for this title. Is that how you're feeling in that Frog Leap juiced car?
I'm kind of doing my own thing. It really depends on how the race is going already and what I feel at that track pace-wise, because more importantly, I'll just kind of try and help my teammates, no matter who it is, if I'm already a little bit lower. And depending on, who's up front, who's behind, who's getting a points haul or not. And I'll just kind of play around that. But, if I've got pace, then I'm going to try and keep that pace and push up. I
mean, you were involved in many fights today. I think there was very rarely a time that we looked at you and you weren't side by side with some people. And obviously there's the train aspect of this circuit as well. It's difficult to pass, but there was that feature race just felt like you, Koba, Bailiff were just fully going at it at the end. And Patrick Dupart actually was involved in that. In fact, I think he did it on you. Tell us about the move that Bailiff made into turn 6 on yourself. I can't remember if he pulled it off on you, but he did the same thing on Dupart the lap before, and it worked. You must remember the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. My thought on it is it looked really unneeded, and honestly, relatively, I'm going to throw the filter away. Just a plain stupid move to make. That's why I got out of the way for him, because he came back from like about 3/10, and I'm not dealing with that, so I'm not going to go out of the race for just someone that's up in the front. So
of course,
if he does it to me, then I'm just going to go right back to him. That's how I'm playing now.
Well, you kept the position in the end anyway, but you got that move that I can't tell if it was a move on purpose or he was just braking late, and you did the right thing by being out the way. But then did you have you had the exit out of the corner and then the race continued into 7 or 8?
Yeah, it was kind of like that, but I moved out of the way a little bit too much. I didn't run tight on him at all, so I couldn't build the run up at all. Mm-hmm. But later in T1 he did relatively the same move, and it didn't work the same way because a day didn't budge like I did. So
of course,
that's kind of what happened.
So you could say that, well, it was lucky by the looks of it, everyone survived. There was some very late moves, but you got another podium. That's 2 this season. How many? Let's make a prediction. You got 7 more rounds. How many more podiums do you think?
I'd like to try and get one at least once every day, but I mean, it really depends. I know we're going to some quick tracks now for me.
You're going to go to 7 more podiums.
I'm gonna try. I mean, Summit and Laguna are gonna be 2 really good tracks for me, especially Laguna. So maybe a win.
Well, is there anyone?
Depends on how they start.
No worries. Congratulations again. Is there anyone before I let you go that you want to say thank you or hello to?
I'd like to thank my parents for my sim setup, and Morgan's parents as well.
Morgan's parents as well. You're just saying that because he does it all the time, surely. Well, I'm sure they appreciate it. Thank you for thanking Morgan's parents. Do you want to shout out Kyle's mum while you're here as well, or?
Yep. Big shout out to Kyle's mom.
Okay, no worries. Thanks, Jameson. Speak to you soon.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's the final interview of the day. And, I'm hoping he's calmed down a little bit now. But if he hasn't calmed down, then it is what it is. But here he is. It's Joshua Germany. First win under your belt. You said it was gonna happen. Well, are you going to let anyone forget this, Joshua Germany?
I'm not going to forget it.
Never.
I don't know if anyone else will. No, never.
I think you tweeted that before this season started, it was 294 days between this season and season 2. Meaning
That's right.
that it's actually probably closer to 2 years that you've been waiting for this win.
That just makes it sound even worse that it's took me this long. Doesn't make me feel any better.
It was definitely over a year, which we said live on stream during the race. But a year, it's been a long time coming, and it's not like you haven't had the pace before. But now at least now you can say. So for those that don't know, who are still with us watching either on the Racing Line or VCO eSports, for those that don't know, Joshua Germany turned up to season 1 never having driven the car before. He got asked by myself, just try it, it'll be fun. And he was like, nah, don't want to do it. Turned up, did it anyway, loved it, but didn't get any wins. Got a couple of podiums, I think. Season 2 came about. He knows the car a little bit more. He expected more results. Mistakes crept in. That's fine. It's a learning season. In between season 2 and 3, this last season just gone, Joshua Germany made it his mission to do the most Volkswagen Jetta sim labs out of anyone on iRacing, which you succeeded in. And he done.
Unfortunately.
He done. What was it? 200? Did you leave it at 200 races?
Yeah, it was 200. Yeah.
Okay, so 200 sim lab races, Joshua Germany done in season 3, and now you can finally say that it's paid off. Because if you went through this season without a win,
it'd have been so bad.
Yeah,
it'd have been awful.
No one was going to let that go.
Year.
Yeah, well,
Next year, that'll be fine.
Talk us through this, because your pit stop made it. Did you know? Because it didn't look like you were going to lead this race at any point before the pit stop phase, to be honest. And even during the pit stop phase, it was tough to call. But you and Ade Koba had a 30-second stop compared to everyone else's 31, 32s. So you both nailed the fuel strategy. And it sounded like you both ran out at the end. Is that right? You ran out on the last as you crossed the line?
Well, it's weird, really, because when I pit, I purposely underfueled. Because I've noticed in that race, you probably noticed in the sprint race, I had such a big gap to everybody else. I just couldn't follow in traffic. I just couldn't do it. So I knew going into the feature race, I wanted to pit last. So I had more time in free air, and I knew I could go quicker. And Ade was fighting really hard with me in the first stint of the feature, which I don't like. I'd rather him just sit behind so he don't get jumped by anyone else doing earlier pit stops. And then when he pit, I knew, right, I could put some decent laps in. I ended up going 5-7 tenths quicker than when I was in slipstream. So I purposely underfueled just to try and get in the lead and maybe just save a bit. And I came out in the lead and I thought, oh my God, this might be it. And the very next lap after I pit, I noticed Ade. He was lifting about 125, 150 meter board. I thought, oh my God, he's having to save as well. That's why we've both come out in the lead. And then when that crash happened behind me, I pretty much, all I did then was just flick to my fuel box and just save fuel. But then it turns out I had 1 lap extra.
Oh.
So I don't know. So I was speaking to Jameson and Morgan, and they had the exact same. So I don't know why. Because when I went into the pit stop, I had 0.1 laps worth of fuel extra than what I had in my fuel runs in practice. But then, because I came out of the pits and it was 7.6 laps, so I assumed, I've underfueled by 0.4 laps. But it turned out I'd overfueled by 0.6. So I don't know. That was it, really.
Do you know what? The story was so long, I don't know anymore either. I lost what we were talking about.
I've got to drag it out. I've got to drag this out.
What? Because you're saying this might not happen again. Come on, we got 7 rounds. 7 rounds left. Jerry said that the same happened with him with fuel. I mean, if there ever was a track where you could risk underfueling and track position was key, I feel like this was one of them, because I mean, the passing was difficult. It was happening, but any side-by-side battles would just cost time that you couldn't really afford. So this was definitely a track position circuit, and you and Koba used that to your fullest. And you finally got your name on the board. We got Burkhard with 2 wins, Bailiff with 2 wins, and Thurtle and Germany 2 new winners for Season 3 Volkswagen Jetta Cup. What can you, right now, do your best impression of the noise you made when you crossed the line?
It's too embarrassing. I can't do it. You have to bring Stevie in to ask him. I can't do it. I screamed, basically.
Did you do it on the radio? Can I hear it on there?
No, I haven't got it on the radio.
Oh.
I turned it off. I'm concentrating too much. I have to turn the radios off.
Sad times. I was looking forward to hearing that.
You can imagine what it'll probably be like. So you can do an impression, though. Is that... Do I have to do it?
Well, I did say I think you would have been squealing as you came out of the pits in the lead.
Yeah, I was squealing, yeah.
I think you were squealing a little bit, yeah. So it was good. It was really good to watch. Congratulations on your win. And for the first time, I think... Actually, no, you've been up here before because you've had podiums. But for the first time with a win, is there anyone you'd like to say hello or thank you to before I let you go?
You know what? Before the season started, I thought of this. What to actually say and who to thank. So, first off, I've got to thank you. You've sent it all on, my teammates and the boss that hired me to drive for the team wherever he is during the races. I don't know where he hangs around, but he's there somewhere. And my cousin Jack was watching this race, so I'd like to say thank you for him for turning up to support me.
What a race for him to watch as well. Well done.
I know.
We've got Lime Rock next, round 4, 2 weeks' time. We've got a week break next week, and then we're off to the American leg. Lime Rock, Summit Point, Laguna Seca, and Long Beach. How are you feeling around Lime Rock?
I'm confident around Lime Rock because that was in the SimLab season, wasn't it? So
not the West Bend.
I did loads of no, not the West Bend, but most of the corners are the same. There's barely any corners on it.
True.
But yeah, I'm hoping for two top 10s again, and then see if I can snatch a win or a podium. I'll be up there, I think.
No worries. Well, thank you very much, Josh. Always a pleasure, and congratulations on your first win. And we'll speak to you soon. Oh wait, before you go, of course, you were driver of the day. With more than 50% of the votes. That's what I really wanted. There was a few people in chat that were just as excited for you as other people were, and I'm sure everyone's happy for you. So well done. We'll speak to you soon, Josh. See you next.
Thank you.
2 weeks. See you in 2 weeks. There we go. That's it. All the interviews done. And it is currently... well... It's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning for me, so it's time to end the stream, unfortunately. It is that time to say goodbye. Thank you all once again for watching the Volkswagen Jetta Cup, powered by GT Omega in partnership with VCO eSports here on the Racing Line channel. I'm glad you all enjoyed it. Tell your friends, share the stream. Even if they just watch the feature race, tell them about it, because in 2 weeks' time on the 17th of October, at the same time, we're doing it all over again at Lime Rock Park. I hope to see you there. As usual, that's pretty much it from me. If I don't see you on track this week, then I'll see you next week for the next video here on the Racing Line. Peace!